I was trying to think of what would be the most influential thing to do. And I was thinking about the biggest problems in the world, and of course the number one thing that came to mind was world hunger. And I thought about how that could be solved. And the fact is that there's enough food in the world to feed every individual. And the reason why there is world hunger and poverty is because it's a social setting to have food and to produce it. And if you don't have the money to buy it, you don't get it. So one of the biggest problems is that you need something that can grow easily in any kind of terrain. So I began to research what kinds of seeds were the best to grow in any kind of terrain. And the ones I came across were pumpkin seeds, soybeans, nuts, peanuts, stuff like that. And then I began to decide which ones I could actually combine, because I was looking at the nutritional properties of all of them and trying to make one food that could technically support a population, but at the same time would have enough calorie content and nutritional value to have someone live and be healthy like they are here. And so I had to look at monocots versus dicots, and so that was one of the biggest things that, biggest challenges I faced, because a lot of the foods that I wanted to combine, I couldn't, because they had different structures, they had different growing patterns. And so I decided on dicots because monocots had more fruit, and I thought that vegetables and grain was more beneficial. And so then the second thing that I had to look at was I had to have enough proteins to make a complete amino acid. And so some combinations that would give you that is like rice and beans, rice and corn, corn and beans. The problem is that corn's a monocot, and rice is just a really complicated thing to work with. The problem was that the pumpkin seed wasn't germinating at all, so I decided that that wouldn't be a good fit. And I also need something that would germinate fast and it would grow at somewhat high rate, because I was starting it in midwinter. And so I had them inside, and so all of them that grew were the soybeans, radish, spinach, and sunflower. And so then what I did was I cut off the heads of many different trials to actually get a perfect one that would be half and half. And I probably should have started the grafting process mismatched earlier. The heads, but for time's sake, if that makes any sense. And I used grafting tape and I wrapped it around. And eventually I have to combine all of them together to make one. So then the product that was produced definitely is an advancement. Could theoretically I'm not the only one who's tried this. They've done it many places. Nutritional properties being mixed together. Tomatoes. But in many articles that I've read, they said that the solution to world hunger is genetically modifying plants, and this experiment was just kind of to show that it is possible, and even a 16-year-old could do it in her garage, and that it is beneficial.
I became initially interested in this project, honestly, because we were learning about plants and biology. We were learning about monocots and dicots and root structures, and that's when I finally decided that I would integrate my scholarship into my learning, and it would further my understanding. And another thing that really inspired me and kept me going were these 3 videos I'm about to show you. The first one is by a professor, and he's really talking about the benefits that have already been happening due to genetically modified plants, and how it's been influencing poor farmers and how they've been making more and more money.
And furthermore, despite what you might think or read, many of these bioengineered crops are helping poor people. In fact, the most significant benefits of bioengineered crops using genetic engineering have been poor farmers. Pesticide use has been going down because of insect-resistant crops. Profits have been going up, and incomes of these farmers have been going up.
The second video is by Bill Gates, and of course that caught my eye, but he's talking about how he's funding the research for genetically modified food, and how the ideas and the conflicts between scientists and countries about using these genetically modified plants affect the research. One main thing he was just talking about was that many countries are afraid because they're afraid of, licensing once again. And so that also made me think that if my research does ever lead to anywhere, I would be upset if I was trying to help people and it ended up just being food for a corporation.
Some of these are traditional breeding and some of them are transgenic. In parallel, we're also funding scientific expertise in Africa. So when 3 or 4 years from now, if things go as expected, there are some crops with big benefits, drought resistance, that the transgenic approach probably can do better than any other approach. Each country can decide what are the benefits to them and what are the risks, what's known about safety, IP licensing, and things that would make them hesitant.
And then the last video was made by a college student about grafting tomato plants. And not only did that really show me how to do the grafting process, the cuts and what materials to use to join the heads and the bodies together, but it also just kind of showed me that anyone of any age in any place can really do it. And so that really encouraged me a lot.
The grafting of vegetables is becoming popular around the world. Grafting allows a producer to combine the desirable properties of a vigorous disease-resistant root system from the rootstock with the exceptional fruit quality from the scion.
This project really helped me evolve my lab skills, knowing what to do, when to do it, how to observe data, how to write down data. I also met a lot of great resources and people. I contacted CSU Botany Department, and they really helped me understand what monocots and dicots were and gave me examples of different vegetables. They also gave me advice about how to graft them and if it would work at all, in their opinion. I also got really close to a lot of my agriculture and science teachers at my school. They were very supportive, and I really appreciate that. Also, the town of Castle Rock was a really great place to work because we had so many garden shops and so many people passionate about plants that I could contact, as well as a lot of parks. Castlewood Canyon was a great help to me when I was asking about what plants grew here and what plants didn't. I discovered that peanuts don't grow here at all, which was really interesting. Many of the people who have designed genetically modified plants or patented them haven't gone to the extreme that I have, trying to combine not only 2 species, but 4 species together to combine one plant. But what they have done so far is great, and that's why I really liked working with Genetically Modified Food Project, is because I could see how it's already accepted around the world or how it's already changing. I just really hope that my research has affected some small